Hello and welcome to the 101st episode of Pat Baer's Anime Club. I'm Pat Baer, if you didn't know, and this is my ongoing video series where every other Monday I put up a new episode taking a look at something from the world of anime that I want to talk about. Occasionally it's a deep dive on like a show. Maybe you want to like, hey, what's up with Bleach? It's back again. What's going on? Or it might be like, let's talk about a subgenre and really like talk about the origins of it. Or maybe I'll talk about some manga or some manhwa. Basically, anything from the world of anime and affiliated that I want to chat about. I talked about the earliest visual novels and how that kind of influenced anime, or at least a subgenre of anime. And today, I'm going to talk about one of my favorite topics, which is talking about the Isekai that is out this summer. I almost said anime, but I don't know why I said that. I meant Isekai. We're just going to roll with it. Summer Isekai 2023. There are only 8 of them this season, which I think 14 was the most I've had since I started like keeping track of that, which was like last year sometime. Sometimes there are a lot, there's the multiple seasonal or the returns. This season is interesting in that there's a bunch that I think are bad, and even I think they're bad, but maybe you would like one of them. But if I don't like them, it's probably a chance you won't either, and I'll explain why I'm watching some and not others, and kind of give you a little bit of information about each of them as best I can. I got one more caveat here. I'm going to talk about a show that I consider an isekai and some people don't because our definitions of isekai are different. In my opinion, an isekai is when the main character goes to a different world. Flat out. For some people, it is in a different world from ours. So they will say that like an alien or someone from a fantasy world coming to modern day Tokyo is not an isekai. I think it is. So we're going to talk about one show that I definitely think is an isekai in a bit, but other people might disagree. So maybe there are only 7 this season if you don't agree with me. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk about, am I actually the strongest? Question mark. It's a question, which is fun. I'm not watching this one. I'll just say right off the bat, I'm not watching this one because I don't like the manga. It's your usual, reincarnated in another world, perceived to be weak, but actually is very strong. Yes, the younger sister is a fun character. Her interest in her big brother, eventually showing how strong he is because he hides his abilities. So even though people don't think he's that strong, it's not just because of some misunderstanding. He's actively doing it. There's a whole thing of him being like a fake Power Ranger, a fake common rider type character, and that's kind of fun. But for overall, it's just it's meh. I'm just not a big fan of it, so I'm not actively watching it. Is that a mistake on my part? I don't think so. Maybe you're enjoying it. Let me know in the comments on any of these if your opinion is different from mine. If you're watching the shows I'm not watching, or if you're skipping a show that I think is pretty good. I'd love to hear from you. Anyway, let's talk about our next one, which is Mushoku Tensei, I should say. Jobless Reincarnation, Season 2. And you're like, I thought there was a Season 2. No, there was a Season 1, Part 2. This is Season 2 of one of the granddads of modern isekai. We talked about it before as I covered the first season, Part 1 and Part 2. I am not actively watching this on a weekly basis, but I will get caught up by the end of the season because it's gorgeous. This is by far the best looking isekai you're going to see this season. And one of the best looking shows probably outside of like a Mappa show you're going to see. Because it's just going to be gorgeous because they haven't screwed it up. Beautiful to look at. And Rudius, the main character, is less of a complete garbage person than he was in previous season, but still not a likable character, and I don't really enjoy the world. So Jobless Reincarnation is important, as I've said before, because it was a light novel that popularized this modern take on isekai. And a lot of isekai after that have learned from the choices of like don't actually start with a baby, travel up a little bit before a character remembers that they've been reincarnated, or we don't need to see it. We don't need to see that. Um, Maybe make the main character somewhat likable, even if he does maybe redeem himself. Maybe don't make every other character either a best girl that you just kind of ignore for a very long time or the worst. Just stuff like that. There's been a lot of like, oh, okay, we can do this a little differently. And they've benefited from the work it did before. Anyway, I don't particularly love looking at the show, but I'll watch it. I mean, I love looking at it. I don't particularly enjoy watching it, I guess. You know what I mean. Here's one I'm just skipping. I got a good high quality photo of this. Oh, it looks nice. Um, I'm sorry. I'm looking at my camera to see. That looks good. That's a good looking photo of an anime I'm not watching. My unique skill makes me OP even at level 1. You know what his unique skill doesn't do? Make him an interesting character. Do I like a tiny girl with a big hammer? Of course I do. I'm only human. Of course I like the supporting character. I just don't like the main character. Because, like, yeah, it's like, oh, it's kind of fun that the drops he can get are all S rank, so we can just get gear eventually. But, like, he still sucks as, like, a bland main character. There's just not a lot of going on. And, like, some of the other supporting cast also sucks. And there's only so many hours of the day. So I'm not watching. My unique skill makes me OP, even at level 1. I am watching this. You bet your ass I'm watching Reborn as a Vending Machine. I now wander the dungeon. Wander is a interesting choice in there. Yeah, it's an anime about a guy who gets reincarnated as a vending machine in a fantasy world. And yes, I'm fucking watching it. It's a postmodern isekai. The exploration, the two branches off of modern isekai that became just overpowered main character harem shows was a return to female leads is one branch, and the other branches get fucking weird with it. Like a slime or a spider or an onsen or a vending machine or a sword. It's stupid. The second episode has a Diet Coke and Mentos bit in it that saves the day. It's very dumb, but really fun. And yeah, it's this cute expression that, it's like, it's silly to kind of humanize it a bit. Is a fun idea. And the weirdness of, okay, well, this is the premise now. What do you do with it? Has been fun so far. There's only 2 episodes in that I've seen, and I'm into it. I like it. I never really read the manga. I probably should. But yeah, look, if you knew this was out this season, you knew I was going to be watching it, at least with morbid curiosity. And I'm watching this next one, even though it's not exactly what I was hoping it would be, which is Sweet Reincarnation. So our boy here, Pastry Casserole is his fucking name. He was a world famous, renowned in our world pastry chef, who died and then was reincarnated. And he's like, oh great, well in this medieval world, I'll be able to finally make some sweets and it'll be great. Except it seems like, from my understanding of the episodes I've watched, there's 3 episodes out at the time of this recording. It seems like the point of this show is like, yeah, well, we know you want to bake, but that's not your destiny. Maybe you'll get to bake here and there, but it's mostly just like, what if a baker died and was reincarnated and then had to be like a generic, highly sought after, powerful guy? Because he can copy the state of people or abilities or what. He's got some OP powers that he was granted. And it's just like, oh, okay. I kind of would rather watch a kind of slow slice of life about a guy like the drugstore one, or although the one about the hospital or the doctor, the pharmacist, he does have to do some battling. So I'm mostly thinking about the So Life pharmacy one that's just pretty chill. I think I would have liked this if it just been like a guy who's like revolutionizing baking in a medieval fantasy world. I think I kind of would have liked that. I'm still watching it, but I'm not like super engaged. I'm hoping it's a weird thing. I'm hoping he gets to bake. That's my big want for pastry. Is I hope he gets to bake some stuff. I'm not watching The Devil is a Part Timer season 2 because I didn't really like The Devil is a Part Timer season 2. And I, I have to explain this. So, years ago, many years ago, we had The Devil is a Part Timer. This is the Isekai that some people don't consider an Isekai because it takes place on Earth and he comes from the demon realm. Also, sometimes people don't think the underworld or hell is a different world. That's why I like Irma-kun. Some people don't think that's an Isekai, and I do. But anyway, Demon Lord comes to this world. He's the main character. He's gone to a different world. It's our world. He gets a job working at a fake McDonald's, or a knockoff of McDonald's. He meets some fun characters. There's angels. There's other demons. It's a whole thing. That show ends. There's more manga, many years. And then The Devil is a Part-Timer season 2 comes out. But it's not called season 2 in Japan. It's called The Devil is a Part-Timer with 2 exclamation points. Because that's how they do it over there. They sometimes, not all the time, they throw in a second exclamation point. Is this the part where I say that New Game Plus with 2 exclamation points, their second season should have been called, or New Game should have been called New Game Plus? I even fucked it up. You know what I'm saying. New Game should have been New Game Plus. Instead, it was New Game with 2 exclamation points. Anyway, they put an exclamation points in there to denote it's the second season. But now it's called The Devil's a Part-Timer season 2 with the 2 exclamation points, meaning that it's the second season of the second season. It's like a part 2. It's confusing because now there are 2 season 2s. Anyway, that's a lot. I'm saying a lot there because I don't think the art is that great. The animation, I think, was pretty bad in 2 exclamation points part 1. Do I have to say that? I got the other season 2. I thought the animation like really kind of sunk, and I also think that like it was good in its time, and I think that like now it's like I don't know. I'm just kind of over the jokes. It's just not there for me, so I'm not watching that. At this point now, as we only have 2 more, I will reiterate that I am watching Jobless Reincarnation on my own, not weekly, on my own time, whenever. I'm watching Reborn as a Vending Machine. I now want to the dungeon weekly. I'm watching Sweet Reincarnation weekly. All that could change. And I'm watching The Great Cleric, which is right here. You can see him. There's The Great Cleric, Luso. This dude got shot in the real world and died with unfinished business, which was to succeed in business. It's vague, but he had wants. And for whatever reason, a god was like, sure, I'm going to take you to fantasy world. I'll give you a bunch of stats. And he chose cleric. He wants to be a healer to basically help people heal himself. And also there's always a demand for healers. And this is a slow, I've read the manga, I should say. Now I've watched all the episodes, but they're out. But I've read the manga. It's really slow because his big plan is I need to defend myself. So I'm going to heal a lot of people, and I'm going to get trained at the Adventurers Guild. And they'll train me, and I'll get ready to go, and everything will be cool. And it's going to be a lot of that, I can tell you. And I think it's interesting. I like that it's slower paced. I like that he's kind of a glutton for punishment because he's just like... The idea of the overworked employee now having a slow life or a different life in a fantasy world is pretty trite as far as the origin stories for these characters go. But this version of it, the take on it, which is like he kind of can't escape out of that. Like he still has a business-oriented mind. He's still making deals, and he still knows how to approach situations and all that. I appreciate. I like where it's going. I like that it's slow paced. And then the final. Are we going to have an isekai with a female lead? Are we going to go in the otome route? Yes, we are. The final one to talk about, our 8th isekai, is the most heretical last boss queen from villainous to savior. And man, that is again for me I'm going to watch it, just not every week. I've got, let's see here. I've got 1, 2, 3 that I'm watching weekly, and 2 out of the 8 that I'm watching whenever. So that's 5 out of 8 that I'm watching. And this is the one that, yeah, like I'm going to get to it, but whatever. I think the animation's fine. My big problem with this isn't animation quality, it isn't the story, it's some of the characters. So the twist on this one is it's the same thing, right? Not same thing, traditional thing. Reincarnated a fantasy world from a dating game. I'm the villainess. Oh, okay, but I can change the story. I can change how the story goes, right? She's reminded her constantly of what this character would have done if she had not embodied the character. And that we see that. We see like, oh, this is how it would have gone. This is how she was like. And you see a lot of that. It's really bogged down by that. But the thing that makes this one a little unique to the other villainous stories that we've seen, the other Otome game adaptations, is that the other characters sometimes have visions of the future if the game had progressed as it was supposed to. And that's interesting. It's interesting, but it's not fun to watch because this character was a nightmare person and the people that were affected by her were twisted because of it. And so it's like, it's cool that you're showing these like alternate reality to the present reality, but I don't like looking at it. And in the manga, you can kind of just be like, oh, this is where she's mean. Okay, I'm just going to kind of, just glance over. I'm going to skip a couple pages. Sorry, story, but I'm good. But you can't really do that in the anime. I can fast forward, I guess. I guess I could do that. So that's kind of what I'm doing. So I'm going to be watching this just not weekly, as soon as it comes out and I've got a free minute. I'm just going to watch it as it kind of happens. I think that's okay. I don't think it's wrong. And that's the anime. That's the summer Isekai 2023. It's our anime season. Here for the summer season. What I'm watching. If I missed an Isekai, it's possible. It's possible I missed one. If I did miss an Isekai, let me know in the comments. Maybe there's a show out there that I didn't realize was actually an Isekai, and and it's a spoiler. You could tell me that. Maybe one of these time travel shows or one of these fantasy shows is actually technically an isekai, but it's revealed later. It's not set up to be one. You can let me know in the comments. Or you could just let me know what you're watching this season. That's always fun. This is a pretty weak one. There will be a video that I'm doing. It might be my next video. I don't know yet what 102 is going to be. But I am going to do something this season, this anime season, on shows from earlier in the year, maybe even the spring season and the winter, just winter and spring, I guess. Shows that like you should go back to, like my top recommendations from those 2 seasons of stuff to watch maybe instead of some of this stuff. Like there's other things that I'm watching this season, right? Like Jujutsu Kaisen, I'm going to watch, even though people say source material kind of degrades, and so maybe it's not going to be great. Undead Murder Farce is fucking beautiful to watch and really interesting. So I'm watching that. Helk, I'm going to give it... Helk could be the one that's actually an isekai. There you go. I don't know if it is or not. Helk could be an isekai. Zom 100 is gorgeous. It's not really my thing, but I'm interested to see where it goes. And then Saint Cecilia and Pastor Lawrence, at the time of this recording, I haven't watched the first episode of that, but it's the closest thing to like girls doing stuff. It's like a slow life, maybe romance show that I'm pretty psyched about. I'm going to be watching that. So yeah, let me know what you're watching this season, and I'll do another video in the future. And also you can make suggestions. I haven't had a suggestion of a video that I should cover, or a topic I should cover, I should say, in a while, and I would love that. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope to see you on the next episode of Pat Bear's Anime Club in the future. My voice cracked. Goodbye.